sure you're ready for a story. Alright, so the first half was kind of happy. The second half we're going to get kind of twisted. Okay. The first half was kind of sweet and gentle. The second half is going to be dead. But we're going to come through it, we're going to go some strange places, and we're going to come out and we'll all be happy then, okay? Or if you're not happy, you might be deep. It's fine. So, this is a story. Is there any Scottish people here? Oh, there's a Scottish woman! She might know this story. She'll back me up on this story, okay? Come away in.
No, my mother said it.
So, this story is, it's a story, there's lots of, it's kind of, what I've done is there's different little parts of the story exist in different, like, annals from the times, histories from the times, and then there's kind of folklore that grew out of this event, and then there's ballads that grew out of the event as well. And what I've kind of done is weaved into one kind of sensible narrative, because you can go to all these things and disappear down different wee routes. Anyway, so the story itself, everything you hear in this story happened, alright? Just so you know. This is not my twisted brain, it is Scotland's twisted brain. Okay? And I'm going to want to do a lot with my stories is I like to give a bit of a sense of the background of the story and the history of the story, especially when I'm doing one of these kind of deeper dive stories. So I'm going to give you a wee bit of the background to the story first. I'm going to give you a bit of the landscape, alright? Because the story, it takes place, actually almost exactly 700 years ago or so the story takes place. It's quite an old story. And it takes place in the Scottish borders. So the Scottish borders are very beautiful. They're kind of very low hills, very soft hills, and there's nice kind of flat places as well there, and lots of soft hills. Very green, very fertile. You've got kind of nice woods, there's nice rivers. It's a place that's very magical place, okay? And I guess part of that's because it's a border. It's a border with England. And like borders all around the world, there's things all around. Borders are interesting. Borders have got trade, they've got love, they've got babies appearing, there's songs, all sorts, but also borders can be quite brutal, okay? There's wars, there's blood. So this is a border that's steeped in all these kind of things, alright? But it's not just that physical border between Scotland and England this story takes place in. It's also a border between this world and the world beyond. You know, it's one of those border places where you can, the distance between this world and the worlds beyond is very thin in places. And where this story takes place, there's a wee place and it's called the Nine Stains Rig, the Field of the Nine Standing Stones. And this is from the Neolithic times. They built the standing stones there, 9 of them. And obviously they recognised the power of this particular place as well. They marked this landscape. You can see the landscape, you can see the starscape, and obviously this was them marking that border between this world and the worlds beyond. So it's a very powerful place. And at the time of this story, there's a castle. The castle's still there. It's called Castle Hermitage. And it's not that far from where the standing stones are, Castle Hermitage. And when you think of castles, you always think of kind of, I don't know, things with kind of bumpy bits at the top and towers and all that kind of stuff. This is not that. If you ever go on Google and look for Castle Hermitage, it's an ugly, ugly, ugly building. It's like a big toad of a building. It's ugly, right? And it's ugly because it's built, it's solid, and it's built, obviously for one reason, it's built for defence. Maybe trade, but violence, you know, control of the landscape. It's an ugly building. It's part of this landscape, it's part of this story. So that's the kind of landscape you're in. It's a very magical kind of place, okay? So let me just give you another wee idea. Just kind of go on a bit. If you go slightly up away from the borders and go slightly away, you're kind of still in that kind of same magical sense, up towards Ayrshire. Edgar Allan Poe at one point lived there as well. I think it was his uncle or something took him over there, and he picked up a lot of that stuff, that kind of atmosphere as well. So that's kind of that part of Scotland. So we're in the borders. It's very strange landscape, very beautiful, but you've got that sense of things. Alright, so there's been a war. I'm going to give you the history, because you need to know the history before the story starts. We're going to have a long introduction, but don't worry. As some of you may have known, Scotland and England have had an interesting relationship for men. It's a lot of love, but there's occasional And so at this point in the history, Scotland's been independent, it's been a vassal of England, it's been independent, it's been a vassal again, and finally in 1314, the Battle of Bannockburn, Scotland wins that. It's a brutal war, there's battles, but there's also guerrilla warfare, and there's counter-insurgency warfare, and it's brutal. A lot of people die. A lot of good Scottish folk, a lot of good English folk die. It's very brutal. 1314 it all climaxes the Battle of Bannockburn. And after that, Scotland is recognised as an independent country. In medieval times, to be recognised as an independent country, you have to get papal approval. The Pope signed something and you're a country. He did that, and Scotland became a country. Thank you, Pope. Fantastic. So now it's an independent country. But it's still this tension's going on. You know, it's a newly independent country. It's got its king, Robert the Bruce, and you've got, there's still that tension going on. And there's a lot of things England's trying to figure out how it can maybe interfere again. Robert the Bruce is trying to interfere with England. His brother, Edmund or Edward, I can't remember his brother, he went to Ireland, and he was the last High King of Ireland. He was the last kind of Celtic Irish-speaking High King. He was actually the brother of Robert the Bruce, and he raised insurrection in Ireland to try and fight the English. So there's all this kind of things going on. There's kind of proxy wars, there's tension, but it's supposed to be a peace between England and Scotland. It's a tense peace. So what Robert the Bruce needs is he needs somebody to look after the borders, just to look after them, to make sure everything is just so. And the man he gets to look after the borders is a man called Lord Soulis. And Lord Soulis comes from the borders, and he comes from this particular part of the borders where the standing stones are, where the castle is. This is where he comes from. His family comes from there. And he's also got royal blood in himself, Lord Soulis. So he's quite powerful. He's a very heroic. He fought at Bannockburn, and he was a heroic guy. But he was also, he was of his times. He was a great man for the slaughter, and the burning, and the arson, and the rape, and the torture, and all those kind of things that you put in your LinkedIn account in those days, okay? He was up for all that, and folk were thinking, grand, you're the man for the job, look after the borders. And so he looked after the borders. And he raised his own army there as well to kind of keep the peace there. And it was quite brutal. He'd raise taxes from folk, and he'd burn your house and get the taxes. Lord Soulis, he was not liked, but he'd done the job well, okay? Now, King Robert the Bruce, he had a little inner circle of lords to advise him. And Lord Soulis was not included in that inner circle. Even though he was royal himself, even though he was looking after the border, which is a really important part to look after, he was not allowed into Robert the Bruce's inner circle. And the reason was the church had took a scunner to him, okay? The church was annoyed with him. Not because of the murder and the burning and all that. It was because, which was fine. It was because Lord Soulis was reputed to be in communication with an entity from the worlds beyond. Okay? There's lots of stories of that. I'm not going to go into. We're just going to do the one story. But there's, you know, you're supposed to be the only person beyond is God, and you go through the church to get to God. But no, he was in contact with an entity. And his family had a box that we travelled down the family box. They owned this box, and the box serves as a portal. And through this box, he could communicate with this entity. And there's various descriptions. Some folks say it was a fairy, some folks say it was a imp, some folks say it was a demon, some folks say it was the devil himself, okay, Satan himself. And he would communicate with this entity every 7 years. And his family would communicate. Going back, they'd always communicate every 7 years. The head of the family, every 7 years, open the box and talk to this entity. And the entity would give them advice. So Lord Soulis, this entity had been giving him advice all his life, and now he's in a position of power. And we're at this point, the story's now going to begin. Hold on, we're getting to the point now. The story's now going to begin because this story is going to take place over a night and a morning. And this night, it's 7 years since he last spoke to the entity through the box, okay? And he's going to speak to you on this particular night. And the reason he's speaking to it is because the next day, he's going to take his army and he's going to go and surprise Robert the Bruce. He's going to defeat Robert the Bruce, this is the plan, and Lord Soulis will become King of Scotland, and he will rule with this entity. This is the plan. So he's not spoke to the entity for 7 years, so now it's night time, and he has to speak to the entity, to explain what's happening. And there's a ritual that goes along with this speaking to the entity. The ritual involves, first of all, taking a wee sip of tea. The box is kept in the dungeons. There's a dungeons beneath Castle Hermitage. There's dungeons there. And the dungeons consist of like different rooms, little chambers that are locked up. And the box is kept in one of those locked up chambers. So what Lord Soulis does, he does his ritual. He goes into the unlocks, he goes into the chamber, and he takes with him a cat, and a dog, and a newborn bull. Okay? And he also takes a pickaxe and a spade. Okay? So he goes into this room, there's candles lit, they're flickering in this chamber in the dungeons, and the box is there in the middle. He gets the pickaxe, he breaks the ground, and then he gets the spade, he starts digging and digging. And he digs a hole, okay? Because he also stripped himself naked. Well, I thought he'd be embarrassed there. He did. He was naked, and he's working away, and he's digging a hole. And of course, you can see the candlelight, he's sweating, you can see his muscles, his solid muscles. He's a warrior, he's a vicious, brutal warrior. You can see the muscles on him, he's digging the hole. Eventually he gets a hole, and the hole's about 5 foot deep, okay? And when the hole's 5 foot deep, he goes and he gets the wee cat. And he picks the cat up, and the cat's going, meow. Does the cat thing, what's going on? And he gets the cat, and he takes the cat, and he throws the cat into the hole. And the cat does the cat thing, it tumbles down and it lands on its 4 feet. Ha ha, I'm a cat. And it starts scrambling back up. The cat starts scrambling back up, and of course he smacks the cat on the paws with the spade. The cat falls back down. The cat tries to get back up. He starts shoveling the dirt onto the cat. The cat's trying to get out. The cat starts mewling in terror. The cat knows it's been buried alive. And he's burying the cat alive. The cat's trying to scramble up, and he's whacking it. It's going up and down. And finally he covers it up, and the soil's there. The soil moves a little bit, and then it's still, and the cat is gone. And the terror, the mewling of the cat when it was scrambling out, that terror and horror of the cat has filled the room, okay? It's filled the chamber. It's added to the kind of sense of very deep and powerful and brutal magic. So now he gets the dog, okay? Actually, he gets his phone, therapist speed dial first. He gets the dog. And he takes the dog, the wee dog's kind of wagging its tail, going woof, 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 woof. And he grabs the dog, and he takes it and he smacks the dog's head against the wall in shame. Okay? And he cracks its skull, there's brain, there's blood. Going to wait for a moment here. Sure, she said, didn't that happen last week to us? It did. He cracks the dog's skull against the wall. And the thing is, he's a warrior. He knows how to kill, but he knows how not to kill, because he does not want the dog dead. He just wants it in pain and terror. So the dog collapses on the ground, it's whimpering, it's howling, it's in pain, and of course its pain spreads round the room and adds to that deep, deep, brutal magic. And finally, are you alright, TV? Finally, he gets the bull. He gets a knife. The wee bull's just been born. The bull's going, slits its throat. So there's a gush of blood. He turns around and he bathes his own body in the bull's blood. And then he takes the blood and he walks around the chamber and he kind of sprinkles the blood in each corner of the chamber. And then finally goes to the box. He kneels in front of the box and he puts the blood of the bull on the box. And he says, Master, please talk to me. And he says it 3 times, Master, please talk to me, Master, please talk to me. And the 3rd time, the box opens. That's the box is good. Especially when you've just got a dog killed, okay? And the voice comes out, and the voice says, Lord Soulis, it is good to talk with you. How is our plans? It's been 7 long years since we last spoke. Are things well? He goes, Master, things are well. I've got the army ready. Tomorrow we're going to go. We're going to defeat the Bruce, Scotland the Bruce. We're going to become King of Scotland. The boy says, I'm glad to hear that. And is there anything I can do? Is there any last thing that needs to be done? The Lord Saul said, Master, it's fine. It's just, I have one thing. And he said, what is that? The Lord Saul said, well, I'm worried that I may die tomorrow. And the entity said, you fear death, Lord Soulis? You fear death, a warrior like you? And Lord Soulis said, no, Master, I don't fear death, I fear failure. I feel that if I die, I will fail you because I won't become king, and then you cannot rule with me. I fear failure. And the boy said, I understand that, Lord Soulis. But I'll tell you what, tell me, Lord Soulis, tell me, how does a man die in battle? Tell it to me, explain it to me. Entertain me with stories of death, Lord Soulis. And Lord Soulis says, well, well, he said, the dog had come back to life. Well, there are many ways you can kill a man. We fought them at Bannockburn. My goodness, he said, blades can kill a man. Whether it's an axe, a sword, an arrow, a spear, a blade can kill a man. Or he says, water can kill a man. Water's an amazing thing. Water can kill a man. We were chased them at Bannockburn, when they fell into a river there. We kept poking them down. They were all weighed down with their arrows and their swords, and they were sliding in the bottom of the river on the stone there like eels, and the water was, the bubbles of air would come out their mouth. We watched them drowning. It was the greatest thing. Water can kill a man in a battle. Ropes can kill a man. Oh, we got a few of those Sassanics, and we bound them up. We put the ropes round their necks, and we hung them from the trees. We watched them dance and shook themselves to death. Ropes can kill a man. So the boy says, okay, then here's my gift to you, Lord Soulis. No blade can harm you, no rope can bind you, and no water can drown you. Now go and win Scotland, go and win the crown. Lord Soulis said, I will, Master. And the door shut. Okay? So Lord Soulis now goes to his men, he says, sleep well tonight, we're going to go tomorrow, we're going to fight Robert the Bruce, we're going to win the crown. So he says, men, you're curry doing, I don't know what you do, you're like a warrior, sleeping. But he gets his sergeant and a couple of other men, and he says, listen, I have one more job to do tonight. And he decided that he was going to become king in the morning. Oh my God. I'm traumatized. It's okay. I'm going to get a wife, he says. A wife who doesn't drop glasses. He said, I'm going to get a wife who will be my queen. And the wife he chose was a woman called Lady Armstrong. Armstrong's a big border family. I'm going to get Lady Armstrong. Now, he'd often said to Lady Armstrong he was going to make his wife, and Lady Armstrong was not interested. Okay? She was already betrothed to a guy, Lord Walter, she was betrothed to. Okay? But Lord Soulis decided she was going to be his wife. So he set out that night, and he took his men, and they came to the Armstrong house. They kicked open the door, they came through the house, the servants tried to stop them, they cut down the servants, they went up to Lady Armstrong's bedchamber, they dragged her out. They dragged her out, she's screaming, she doesn't know what's happening. Her poor elderly father, he comes, he's trying to stop her. He said, Lord Soulis, what's going on? Lord Soulis just runs him through with his knife, he falls to the ground, he's bleeding out. Poor Lady Armstrong, she's seeing her father dying, and these men are holding on to her. They drag her off, put her on a horse, and they drag her all the way back to Castle Hermitage. And they take her to the dungeons. And Lord Soulis says to his men, Grand, you just go rest now, I will take it from here. And so the next part we're not going to go into in details because there's lots of songs and border ballads about the wooing and stuff. It's not a wooing what happens, we know what happens. It's a very strong warrior, a very brutal, privileged, powerful man. He's got this young woman. And we know that evening there's going to be a lot of violence. We're not going to be in the violence, but we know there's going to be violence. It's going to be physical, sexual, mental, psychological violence visited on the Lady Armstrong. And that's what happened. He bound the Lady Armstrong and he put the violence on her. And she suffered terrible violence. And then he paused and he said to her, listen, I will release you if you promise to marry me. And the Lady Armstrong said, I would rather die. So more violence was put on her. And after an hour or so, he paused again and he said, I will release you, Lady Armstrong, if you promise to marry me. And for the second time she said, I would rather die. And so for the third time he put the violence on her. The third time he stopped and he said to her, Lady Armstrong, I will release you if you promise to marry me. And for the third time, through her broken teeth, she said, I would rather die. And Lord Soulis, a rage came over him, an awful, awful rage. And he wanted to kill this woman. But he knew if he killed her, then she would never marry him and he would have failed. And so the rage, he didn't know what to do with the rage. So he stopped out of the room, he slammed the door shut, and he went back to the chamber that had the box in it. And he went up to the box, and he knelt in front of the box, and he took the blood of the Lady Armstrong off him when he put it on the box. And he said, Master, please listen to me. And the box didn't open. He put more of Lady Armstrong's blood on. Master, please listen to me. The third time he put the blood on. Master, please attend me. And the box opened. And the voice spoke, and the voice said, Lord Soulis, why are you speaking to me now? 7 years have not passed, not 7 hours have passed. What are you doing? He said, Master, there's a problem. I want a wife to be my queen, but she's refusing me, and I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And the voice was so angry, and the voice said, Oh, Lord Soulis, when you're king tomorrow, you can order her to be your wife. How dare you to annoy me like this? Go and win your battle. He said, I'm so sorry, Master. And suddenly he felt so foolish. And when feeling foolish, he suddenly doubts. And he said to the voice, But I will win tomorrow. And the voice said, I've given you a gift. No blade can harm you, no rope can bind you, no water can drown you. Go and win. And I will win. There's no danger, no threat. And the voice said, The only thing that can threaten you, Lord Soulis, is if the trees themselves move. And with that, the box shut. Lord Soulis laughed. Ha 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 ha! Trees don't walk, and blades can't harm me, ropes can't bind me, water can't drown me. I'm going to win. So then he got his army, and the army went to war. And of course his hair's all spiked up with the blood of the bull and the blood of Lady Armstrong. He looks like a demon himself. And his army leaves, and they leave the castle empty. But they meet another army, and it's actually Lord Walter and his men have come to try and rescue the Lady Armstrong. But they just plough into them. Lord Soulis, he's like, yes, oh! And he goes in there. Of course, there's blades bouncing off him, like a Super Marvel hero thing. There's blades bouncing off him, and spears bouncing off him, and he's hacking and hewing, and the army flees. And he catches some prisoners. One of the prisoners is Lord Walter. He takes Lord Walter down to the dungeon. He takes him to where Lady Armstrong is. Lord Walter is shocked. Lord Soulis says, Lady Armstrong, marry me or I will kill Lord Walter. And she says again, I would rather die. So he turns to Lord Walter. Tell her to marry me or I will kill you both. Lord Walter said, kill us both. We will marry in heaven. And Lord Soulis said, so be it. I will kill you both. And so he took the both of them up to the front of the castle, to the grounds there, the grass. And he got out his axe. And now it's daytime, the sun is up. He's got his axe. The two of them are lying on the ground, bound there, Lord Walter and Lady Armstrong. And he's standing there with his axe. And he's going to kill them with the axe. But it's not going to be a quick death. He's going to chop bits off them and kill them slowly. And his army's all around. His army's all around, and they're all very quiet. And he can sense this power, and he can see the madness of Lord Soulis. And it's a really powerful thing to see. And they're going to see an execution as well, which is always fun. So they're kind of waiting there. And the sun is up, and Lord Soulis is standing there, and he's got his huge blade on him. He's got his huge blade. And it's very quiet. There's a quietness that seems to stretch from one end of the world to the other, from this world to the worlds beyond, an awful, terrible silence. Deep, deep, terrible silence. And in the middle of that silence is the two figures on the ground, and the army around them, and the mad Lord Soulis with his blade. And he's standing there, and all his soldiers are watching, and they're not breathing at all. They're just watching and feeling that energy build up. And the silence is stretching, and the sun is glinting off the blades. And the army is looking, and Lord Soulis lifts his axe. Ah! And the screams break out. Ah! Somebody's army. All the soldiers start screaming. And Lord Soulis is looking at his soldiers, and they're all screaming, they're like mad, as if something's unmanned them. And he looks around, and sure, he sees the woods, and the trees are moving. The trees seem to be walking. And of course, these men are all full of fear. He's full of fear. And then he realises this cannot be happening. He looks again, and of course, the trees are not walking. It's Robert the Bruce has come with his army. But they took rowan branches to ward off evil. But it was enough. Just for a second, Lord Soulis' army was full of fear. And in that moment, the Bruce and his army jumped and slaughtered Lord Soulis' army. And they freed the Lady Armstrong, and they freed the Lady Walter. Lord Walter. But Lord Soulis, nobody could kill him. Things were bouncing off, and he's in the middle of all his spiky hair going, ah, no blades can harm me, ah! And finally they jump on to hold him down. They say, no rope can bind me, no water can drown me. And then up spoke Lady Armstrong, and she said, okay, we'll use lead. Take the lead from the roof. And they took the lead from the roof of the castle, and they bound the Lord Armstrong, bound him tight. And then, Lord Soulis, excuse me, I'm traumatised. Lord Soulis was bound in lead, strips of lead. And then Lady Armstrong said, now, go get more lead, go get more wood, and get a gay muckle pot, a very large pot. And that's what they did. And that's how they killed Lord Soulis. There was a kind of dip in the ground near those standing stones. They got a big pot, a giant pot there. They put wood under the pot. They put Lord Soulis bound in the lead into the pot. They put more lead in it. They filled the wood up with pitch and tar so it would burn. And this took a long time to do. You can't just like phone out to get an Uber to bring you timber. It's a long job. And it took hours to get it all sorted. As it was taking time, it was like a festivity because folk hated Lord Soulis. Folk were coming, they were partying and taking their Instagram pictures and bars were singing. Even the English, was reports that English came over and they mingled with the crowds. And it was like a celebration. Folk were getting drunk and folk were throwing turnips at Lord Soulis and he's all bound in the pot. And finally night came on. Night came on, the stars came on, and that kind of mad festivities just kind of stopped and it all got very calm, very quiet. And it said in the accounts that the crowds partied. And Lord Walter took Lady Armstrong up to the pot and he helped her kneel down. And when she knelt down, she blessed herself. And then somebody handed her a burning torch, and she took the burning torch and she put it on the wood, and up went the flames, and up went the screams of Lord Soulis. And it's said in the borders to this day, sometimes you can still hear the echoes of his final screams as Lord Soulis was boiled to death in boiling lead.
No.